Using the GIS for fiber management is in its early stages at Unite Private Networks, but during the transition and the implementation of housing all the splicing information, which in turn activates fiber management and fiber availability and bandwidth utilization and all those good things, we've got a system in place that can be used while the GIS is being built up with this splicing information. Using the UPN GIS map, you can gain access to that information at this time currently for most of the networks. The plan is for by the end of 2015 to have at least all the major networks activated, if you will, with the fiber management system that is being used in the background of the GIS by the GIS department. We're going to use Little Rock as an example. So zooming into Little Rock, just like in other networks, you will notice that the splicing enclosures will pop on. Those are the splice closures. You can tell that by going over to the layer list, UPN Telecom, expanding the splice closures. So by clicking on a splice closure, you'll gain access to the attribute table. And in the attribute table, you'll see splicing information. And if the fiber management is being done in the GIS, you will see a link here called More Info. When you click on that link, you'll gain access to the outside plant standard document that has the splicing information. So in this particular case, let's zoom in so that we can see what splicing number this is. You will see ARSC 1004, and you'll notice on the splice table ARSC 1004. So when opening this, you should be familiar with this because this is the outside plant standard splicing documents. And so you're gaining access to the individual fibers that are passing through that splice closure. So do you have to click that to see if there's fiber availability? No. And the networks that have been implemented with the fiber management abilities, meaning that the splicing documentation has been transferred into the GIS system, you'll notice on the fiber cables that you can get that availability as well, just by zooming in a little bit more to see. You'll notice that first is the fiber segment number here, ARFC 1005. If we switch back to you'll see the two fiber cable segment IDs. And then you'll see availability and then total strands. So there's 84 available of the 96. And so when you flip back over to the splicing document for ARSC 1004, you can see a detailed diagram of that. So the first question you may ask yourself is, how do I use this to distribute this out into reserved fibers for my contractors, and get this out to my contractors? So that can be very easy. I'm going to go ahead and close this thing back down. All you have to do is click on that, open up the splicing document. The splicing document you cannot edit, but you can download it, and that's actually what's happening here. Is it's downloading automatically to your machine. And if you were to look into your downloads folder, you would actually see that right there in your downloads folder, because we're just having it automatically download the whole spreadsheet so that you can push this thing out and give it to contractors. So let's just pretend that you were going to have to update some of these splice enclosures. Let's just say that you were going to go to a building. Let's just zoom in right here. We're going to go from this building to some fictitious building right here. So you just have one splice closure that has to be updated. So it's ARSC 1000. You can see that there's available fiber. You open it up and you can go to ARSC 1000 and you can say this is now going to some business, and they're going to take the fiber cable. They're going to take AR 1000. Let's just double check. So that's 1000 to 1002. That's going from strand 1000 to 1002. And you can see that it's going to go through 1000 to 1002. This one. So you've just updated the splice document locally on your machine, and so from here you can save this out and give this to your contractor if you choose. I'm just going to save it out to my desktop. And so now you have a document that you can give. Maybe you want to kind of highlight these things so that they kind of stand out here for your contractor. I'm going to resave that so it opens those up as saved. So you can give those to your contractor or just print out the sheet individually and hand it over to him. It's got all the splice document, and you can screenshot this map so that he can see the naming convention on the splice. And that can be distributed, that screenshot and this one document can be distributed to him so that he can have that splicing information readily available. And so after it goes to the field, you confirm with him that that's the splice, and when you give the GIS department that as-built, all you have to do is just, and you can just send this splice document that you've saved locally back to us with your as-built information, noting that, hey, ARSC 1000 has been changed, and the GIS department will grab that information off of there, input it into the fiber management system, and then after that has been completed, when you come back to here, you'll have that information updated in that document. So, as you're seeing here, the GIS department, the GIS system and the GIS department is now managing the splicing information, which needs to come in through every as-built and every change in the network. And so therefore, the rest of the company goes to the GIS map to get access to that splicing information, and that is the master copy. And so any changes in the network have to have a standard document submitted, which you can just go to the UPN GIS and save. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. This is Joe Kilzer, the GIS manager, or shoot me an email at joe.kilzer@upnfiber.com.